Hello people, John the Biker here, welcome to the channel. Long time no see or speak. I've been extremely busy the last couple of weeks. I've not had a chance to do any videos, so I thought for my first one back I was going to do a bike review. So thankfully today I was able to get a hold of one of the bikes that I spoke about a few months ago, and that is the 2021 Harley Davidson Softail Breakout. So this is going to be my review of that. I've had this bike for a wee while now, and I've started to learn a few bits and bobs about the bike. Obviously not learned everything yet, but I know enough now, I think, to give you my honest review of it. So I'm going to tell you the stuff I don't like and the stuff that I like about it. So I'm not going to be just sugarcoating it for you. So the first thing that I'm going to talk about is the comfort of the bike. Okay, so that's a very important thing, especially if you do a lot of miles on your bike. Now, if you're like me and you don't have a car, then motorcycles is my only mode of transport. So comfort is one of the most important things for me, because I need to feel like I'm going to be comfortable on the bike, not just for the short journeys, but obviously on the long journeys. So on the Breakout, the comfort, I'd say it's adequate. It's not the most comfortable thing in the world, but I don't think that's what you're really going for when you're thinking about getting a bike like this. And don't get me wrong, the seat, for example, is fairly comfortable, and the seat height, just when I'm talking about that, is it's about 26 and a half inches, something like that. So it's very low to the ground, but the seat itself it's fairly comfortable. It's a nice design actually, so I'm just an average sized guy, so my whole rear end fits into the seat. There's not much to play with. Room, I'm not moving about, and the way it's shaped, there's a little bit of a lip at the back, so that's kind of going up the small on the back a little bit, so that makes it pretty comfortable. Now when I first got on the bike, obviously, like I said, this bike's brand new. It's only done I think a few hundred miles anyway, and I've done most of them, and it was pretty stiff, but I can already feel it. It's starting to break in, because I have done a wee bit of mileage on it, and yeah, it's fairly comfortable. As for the seating position, I think that's where I'm getting the problem with. So as you can probably see, my arms are quite stretched forward, fully straight, and that's something that I'm not used to. My back, I'm actually leaning slightly forward, just to reach the handlebars, and that's where the problem comes for me. It's just a wee bit sore on the back after a little while. And don't get me wrong, I can go for an hour or so and I'm fine, but after that I can still feel my back's a bit tight, I guess is the best way to describe it. As for my legs, well, they're fully forward, well, almost fully forward I should say. I have got a bend in my knee, and as for comfort of my legs, it's probably the most comfortable I've been on, in regards to the way my legs are sitting. So I am sitting in the classic C position, so arms forward, legs forward. The thing that kills it for me is the fact that I'm leaning forward a lot, and I'm feeling a lot of pressure on my back and my shoulders. Now, that could just be that I'm not fully used to driving or riding in this position, and maybe that will go away in time, but in the time that I've had the bike, it's been constant. So that's the only downside for me when it comes to the comfort. It's just the position of my back. Just to give you a bit of information, I'm 5'11", so, and I'm a normal sized guy, so it's not like I'm big and gangly, or I'm short, or I'm a big heavy guy. I'm just a normal 85 kilos, whatever. Yeah, so the size for me, if I was any shorter, I think I would struggle to reach the handlebars. So yeah, Comfort, so it's not the best, but by no means is it the worst either. So the engine on the bike, so this is the 114 Milwaukee engine, and I believe that's around about, it's the 1800cc, and it's producing about 93, 94 brake horsepower. I can't remember the torque specs. When I do the walk around, I'll dig it out and I'll let you know it. But the engine's super nice. To look at, it's absolutely gorgeous, but it's nice and smooth on its power. The torque on it is crazy. As soon as I twist the throttle, it just comes to life. It isn't smooth anymore, but you know, just trundling along. See, right now I'm in 5th gear, doing 45, and the engine's not struggling. It's not getting bogged down or anything. It's sitting really nice. The gearbox is your 6-speed gearbox, so 1 down, 5 up, and it has got I think it's not a multi-clutch thing. It's something else. Again, I'll put that description up in the video. The bike itself is belt driven, and this is the first belt driven bike I've ever ridden, and it's got a different sound to it, I guess. I don't know if it's the belt that's doing that or it's the actual engine, but you know, yeah, it's all nice. I've been up and down quite a bit on this, and I've been on faster roads, slower roads, and the engine never struggles for power. Now I'm just going to come up off of this road in about a minute or two onto a dual carriageway, and that's where I'm going to talk to you about wind protection. But just before we get there, I will mention that because it is a cruiser, it's essentially a naked bike. And I know some cruisers and some Harleys have the windscreens on them. I don't know if you get one for this, probably do. But this would definitely benefit from some wind protection if you were doing a lot of miles on the motorway, for instance, say. Because there is absolutely no wind protection. Now when I get onto this faster road, I'm going to feel the wind hitting me directly in the chest and on the shoulders, and a little bit on the helmet. But don't let that put you off, because again, it's not as bad as what you might think. It's not turbulent air. You know, once you get that wind blast, it kind of stays with you until you slow down. So it's not like it's blowing me around, and that was a bit of a welcome surprise. Get myself in the right lane. So on this piece of dual carriageway here, the speed limit's actually 50 mile an hour. I wasn't thinking, I was thinking it was you can get up to national speed limits, but as soon as you get up to kind of almost motorway speeds, I'm already starting to feel the wind blast on me, on my chest, on the sides, my shoulders, and a little bit in the helmet. But like I said, it's not off-putting, it's not turbulent, so I'm guessing this headlight is doing a little bit of a job to deflect the wind away from me, so that's pretty good actually. One of the things that you will notice on this bike and other bikes like it, I would imagine, is the vibrations. Because it's such a big torquey engine, it does vibrate quite a bit and this bike's no exception to that rule. Now me personally, I feel more vibrations through the handlebars than on the pegs. That could just be part of the characteristics of the bike, but I'm definitely feeling more vibrations through the handlebars than on the pegs. Again, it isn't off-putting, and it only really kicks in when I wind the engine up, obviously sending more power. But once I ease off the throttle and I'm just cruising along, so say right now I'm in 5th gear doing 50 miles an hour, I'm not getting any vibrations at all, but as soon as I wind it up, you feel it instantly. So that's one of the other things that you're going to have to be aware of when considering a bike like this. There is a lot of vibrations. So the suspension on the bike, so it's fairly standard suspension. Front suspension is just, I'm sure it's 51mm forks, and right way round forks for a change, rather than the upside down forks. I'm a Harley user, and the rear suspension is adjustable. The rear suspension is adjustable, even though it is a soft tail. So just to let you understand what a soft tail is, soft tail looks like a hardtail, but where the hardtail doesn't have rear suspension, the soft tail does. It's just hidden. It just looks like a hardtail. So, like I say, the rear suspension is adjustable. There's an adjuster twisty thing just underneath my right thigh, and I believe you could probably adjust that on the fly, but I don't do that. I'll just do it normally. But overall the suspension is pretty good. When I first picked the bike up, it was set to fairly hard actually, and it wasn't very nice, but I've been playing about with it every time I've used the bike, and I've put it on a much softer setting and it feels a lot better. So the suspension is very good on the bike. So one of the most important things on your motorbike is the brakes. So what are the brakes like on the Breakout? And again, it's going to be a 50-50 for me with the brakes. Neither feel particularly strong, but they both do what they're meant to do to stop me. To let you understand, the front brake on this, I can't remember exactly what size, I can't remember the exact size of the brake disc, but it's only a single brake disc on the front, and obviously only a single brake disc on the rear. And I feel that it's kind of limiting it. I think I would have preferred it with a double disc on the front. So the brake caliper, it's just a Harley Davidson badged Nissan caliper, 4-pot or 4-piston caliper on the front, and a twin piston caliper on the back. Like I say, they both do what they're meant to do. It's just I don't feel that they do it particularly well. But again, is this the kind of bike that you're going to be doing crazy speeds in? No. So the brakes need to be like sports bikes brakes? Absolutely not. So that's where the 50-50 comes in. Yeah, they do the job, but I just feel like they could be a little bit better. The electronics on this bike is a very easy one to talk about, because there isn't that very many electronics on the bike. So the headlight is an LED headlight, and I believe the brake light and the tail light's an LED, but the indicators are just normal bulbs. There's no traction control, but the bike does have ABS. And as for the instrument panel, that's a digital display. But there's no rider modes or anything like that. On the display it's just displaying fuel, speed, time of day, gear position, and then you can change it with this switch here to RPMs, total mileage, trip A, trip B, and fuel, how far you'll get with your fuel. So nothing fancy about the electronics. Again, I don't think you would expect to get fancy electronics on a bike like this. There is this little bar at the bottom here, and that's just got like your neutral light, oil light, ABS light, things like that. As you know, for what the information you're getting, it's got everything, but me personally, I don't like the look of it. I'd prefer if it was analog clocks. I think that would just keep in with the look of the bike. So fuel consumption, I've not actually been able to figure out the fuel consumption properly. But what I can say is it's got a 13 litre tank, and on my wife's 500 Rebel, which has an 11 litre tank, she gets about 120 miles to a full tank. So I'm assuming this is going to be somewhere around the same. Obviously the Rebel being a much smaller capacity bike, I'm just going to average it, but I've been getting to about 100 miles on this and then topping it up. I get fuel anxiety once I get to like 2 bars or whatever. I don't really like to run the risk of running out of fuel. So some of the things that I like about the bike. So one of the main things I like about this bike is one of the things that is the most important thing about any bike, and that is how does it make you feel. And I can say without a shadow of a doubt, every bike that I've ridden, I probably like this one the most. It's the most fun. It makes me feel cool. I've got a huge grin on my face every time I'm riding it. It's absolutely fantastic. It's a real head turner the way it looks. This bike to me was the nicest looking soft tail of the range, simply because I think it's got a bit of a chopper look to it. The front forks are raked out. It's got this huge back tyre, and yeah, I think styling wise it's the better of the range. The power delivery, the amount of torque that's in this bike is a plus for me. I can trundle along in 4th or 5th gear probably. I'm doing 30 miles an hour in 4th gear, in fact down to 20 miles an hour, and the engine just doesn't struggle. It's just always power available, and that's a big plus for me. Another thing I like about the bike is the gearbox. I think the gearbox is fantastic again. It's kind of best of both worlds. I like clunky gearboxes. I like to feel when I'm going into gear or whatever, and you get that with this bike. You actually feel it. You feel it clunking in when you're going up a gear, but when you're going down the gears it's nice and smooth. The clutch is really soft on the bike. I've not getting any kind of strain in my hand or my wrist, so that's all good. So yeah, that's the things I like about the bike. So I like the way it looks, and I like the way that it actually rides. Things I don't like about the bike. So my number one hate's a hateful word, I know, but one of the things I hate about this bike is these mirrors. I don't like these mirrors at all. They're not very good. I don't feel confident that I'm seeing enough of what I need to see. So for me, if this was my bike, those mirrors would be getting changed straight away. I think a set of bar end mirrors and something like this would be much better. I think it would look so much better. So that's the thing I hate the most about the bike. Second, handlebars. I feel the handlebars are too far away. I would like them to be a bit further back, and I think that would help with my back strain. Again, I know this is what this bike is, this is the look that we're going for, and I appreciate that, but this is my video, and this is what I don't like about it. I don't like the handlebars. I like the fact that they're nice and wide, I just don't like the fact that they're so far forward. I don't know, maybe handlebar risers might do the trick, I don't know, but that was the second thing I don't like about the handlebars. And that's really it. There's only those are the two things that I don't like about the bike. Everything else I absolutely love. One thing I haven't actually mentioned is how does the bike handle round the bends and stuff like that. So one of the first things I noticed about this bike when I pulled out of the dealership was how this bike actually turns or negotiates bends or tight corners, roundabouts. And the thing about it is, you can't lean over on it as much as what you would normally used to on a normal, say, sports bike, or in my case, like a sports tourer. But once you get over that initial, it doesn't lean over as much, you kind of have to adapt your riding style, and that's what I've done. And once you're comfortable with it, it's actually pretty good. It doesn't make it any worse than anything else, and it doesn't make it better. It's just a different style. So you have to be quite careful to begin with, especially on slow bends or slow corners, especially on roundabouts. The amount of times I've went round a roundabout on this bike, and I've came round, when I'm coming off the roundabout I'm really wide. It's just that I don't have the confidence yet to make sure that I'm taking the line that I would normally take. Don't get me wrong, every bend, every roundabout, I'm getting better at it, but it's something to be aware of. So if you're going out on test rides on something like this, just be aware of that. And the reason for it, I think, is this huge big back tyre. Obviously the bike's low to the ground, it's only about 5 inches of ground clearance, but it's got this huge back tyre on it. And obviously I'm going to pull over in a few minutes, and I'm going to do the walk around, show you around the bike. But one thing you're going to have to be very aware of is because of that big tyre, you can't lean over as much. And I would have put that in the things that I don't like about the bike to begin with, but now I don't, because like I says, I am getting used to it, and it's just one of those things. Like any bike, you're just going to have to adapt your riding style. Right, so I think what I'll do now is just up ahead here, there's a roundabout. I'm going to take a left there, and I'm going to do the walk around video for you. So I'll see you there in a minute. So okay, as if by magic, here we are, pulled over. Sorry, it's not the most glamorous spot in the world, but it suits the purpose for now. So this is, like I said, the 2021 Harley Davidson Softail Breakout, and it's in this just jet black, gloss black. There's a few different colours. There's a green, there's a red, and I believe there's a blue as well, and a grey. And I think if I was getting one, the crimson red would probably be the one I'd go for. That's just me. And as you see, it's absolutely stunning. Absolutely stunning bike. First Harley I've ever ridden. Don't know if I mentioned that before. But as a first Harley, definitely I've been quite impressed by it. So, like I was saying at the start of the earlier on in the video with the suspension, it's got these kind of raked out forks at the front. 34-degree front forks. I'm sure it's 51mm the diameter of the front suspension. And as you can see, it's just a normal way round. The rear shock, you can't actually see it, but it's tucked away in there somewhere. You can just see the top of it. You'll probably not see it on the camera, unfortunately. And here's the the adjuster for the suspension. So like I said, I've been playing about with it, and I've kind of got it to a setting that feels comfortable for me anyway. And there you go, there's that 114 cubic inches Milwaukee Harley Davidson engine, which I believe works out to about 1800cc. It's absolutely stunning to look at. I love the big air filter on the front of it. It looks absolutely fantastic, and the chrome, I'm not a big fan of chrome, but hey, it looks good on this, and I like the primary cover, all chrome again. And again, these are all things that I know you can customise yourself, because I believe that a lot of people that buy these kind of bikes, they do buy them to customise them themselves. So the front brake, like I says, it's just the single disc on the front. And like I said, it does do the job. I just don't particularly think it's as strong as what I would expect it to be for such a big bike. But I said it does stop you, but yeah, not as good as I thought it would be. And I don't know who makes these brake calipers. They're by Harley Davidson, but they probably will be Nissan or something like that. Unless they do, I don't know if anybody knows that if they do make their own brake calipers, you can let me know. So up front you've got this 130mm front tyre. Can't remember the size of the wheel, but it looks like about 17, 18, something like that. Oh, it's a 21, okay. So yeah, that's kind of standard, but the back one, like I said, it's actually wider than the number plate, and that's a 240. I said that's what's stopping me from leaning over, I think, as much. So the paint job on the bike, very nice, got this pinstriping through it as well. It's a nice finish. I was wrong about the LED lights on it. It only seems like the front indicators are bulbs, everything else is LED. That's a bit strange. Why haven't they just put an LED indicators on the front? The seat height, like I said earlier, is 26 inches. So I'm quite, well, I guess I'm tall, 5'11". But I know my wife, she's been on this, she's slightly smaller than me, or a bit smaller than me, and she can get her feet flat on the ground in it, so it's confidence inspiring type of deal. I didn't mention before, but the bike has keyless ignition, so you just need the fob in your pocket, and then it comes to life. Indicator, one on each side of the handlebar, they are self-cancelling, lights, horn, start, etc. So that's it, folks. That's the 2021 Harley Davidson Softail Breakout. So all I can do now is jump back on the bike and go and ride it somewhere. So in closing of this video, I would just like to give you my final thoughts on the bike. Now, I don't know if I mentioned before, but this is the first real cruiser that I've ridden, and definitely the first Harley Davidson I've ever ridden, and I've thoroughly enjoyed it. So I've had it for a few days, and it's been absolutely brilliant. I don't think it's the kind of bike that me personally, I would want full time as my everyday bike, but it's definitely fun. You know, money wasn't an issue, and space for storing bikes. I would definitely have one, you know, for when it's a day like today, and I'm just, you know, hanging around local areas or not particularly far. I would definitely have one, because it's definitely got that image that you think about when you think about Harley Davidsons. So yeah, absolutely brilliant bike. For that, long journeys, I've not done any long journeys on it. Unfortunately, I've not been able to do that because of work. But I don't think it would be the worst bike in the world to go a long journey on, as long as you were stopping for a rest every now and again. Well, in my case anyway, I'd need to stop for a rest. But that's it really. So if you've liked the video, please hit the like button. If you want to subscribe, Any comments, just drop me a comment and I'll answer it as soon as I can. Yeah, that's it. Once again, thanks very much, and ride safe, guys.